All right. We are back. I couldn't find the on-off switch in my microphone there. Another technical food problem. But we are back in the studio tonight. We have Dr. Akinshegun. There he is. Wave to the crowd. You are streaming out right now. They can all see you. Thanks for blessing us again in the studio. Really, truly appreciate this. So how you been doing? You doing good?
Super. I've been doing quite well.
Okay.
Just appreciate being here, and thank you and Dr. Carter, Dr. Soup. Thank you so much.
Honorary doctor, right?
No, real doctor.
Real doctor. Okay.
The honor is being able to do what you're doing.
Okay.
The height of accomplishment is to serve your people.
Yes. Man, we still working hard at it. We made some technical improvements here, but hey, man, it's all still working.
I can see.
Yeah. We're trying to do it real big, you know.
Yes, sir.
So you said you wanted to kind of continue on. He was here, I guess, a couple months ago, and I guess it's all sort of like a series of information, and so you just want to continue on from where you were, in a sense.
Right. Well, a lot of things have happened in the last 2 months.
Right.
But one of the things that is continuing to happen is we wanted to talk a little bit about that, and then go into the area of strengthening our families from the inside out. But first, I'd just like to do a little shout out to the ancestors who bless us with such a beautiful place and given us such courageous young men like the two of you who are actually doing the work that the ancestors have ordained as the work to do now, and that is to inform, to lift up, and to encourage people to take charge of their lives. But I'd also like to speak to those who are out in the various communities right now, doing whatever you do, whether it's teaching a class, tutoring, mentoring, taekwondo, little league, tennis with youth. All of those things really do count in our community.
Yes.
And maybe you won't get mentioned in certain circles, but you're in our heart, and we do see the effects of your labor in these communities, such as the POW program, 4-H Weed and Seed program, the Mount Bijou. So all of these count.
Yes.
For St. Croix, for St. Thomas, for the Virgin Islands, for this region, and for the universe, for the world.
Yes.
And I would like to also let those know who are not sure where this is going, where they fit into it, and how they can really get a hold of themselves and their family, to let them know that just look up, and when you hear something that sounds like it might be something that you want to participate in, no matter where it is or who's putting it on, go, because it might be the one thing that get you over the hump, quote unquote, where you now have your tribe, your group, you're in your element, and things will start moving up for you too. But when we talk about the politics of deception, we talk about the politics of service as opposed to deceiving people. Let me give you, share with the audience one concept or construct that I have, and that is, if we have continued to hear the same promises for the last 25 years, there has to be some questions asked, and one of the fundamental questions is, does it take 25 years to fix the roads in our community? Does it take 25 years to have a viable school system? Does it take 25 years for us to be able to access the resources that are right here in our community? And I say, no, it doesn't. So what's happening is that we're not asking powerful questions. And one of the powerful questions for those people who want to be elected, that you didn't select to be elected. The last time that we talked about the fundamentals of developing interest groups in your community. In other words, when you talk to your neighbor and you all agree that something should be done, then talk to the next neighbor and then the next neighbor and then have a meeting. And out of that meeting comes a spokesman that goes to the next communities and talks to the community leaders. And out of that will usually come a group that we call an interest group or a pressure group that can go to the Senate and go to these meetings as a group and ask the powerful questions. Number one, what are the interests of our communities? What are the interests of our communities? You're being fed the same story over and over again. Elect me, and the job situation will improve. But nobody has said to you, I have a commitment of this cooperation coming into the Virgin Islands, or I have a commitment from a foundation that are going to give us enough money to set up a bicycle manufacturing plant, a shoemaking plant, or a small auto making plant, or a plant to manufacture airplane engines for small Piper Cubs. They're not telling you that because they haven't done the research and they haven't gone out to find these. A few months ago, someone brought an interest group of people here to talk about developing such a plan. And then all of a sudden that goes away. The question is why? Okay, and I'm going to tell you why. Because if someone says, okay, I'm going to stick my neck out and I'm going to say I can go around the existing system here in the Virgin Islands that's keeping you from realizing your goal, being able to send your children to college, being able to do the things you want, I'm going to go around that. And you do not go out and help them. You do not go out and express your support to them. You do not go out and say that you're with them. Then they are alone. I don't see why we don't put it together. More than once in this community, yes, we have had individuals call for this community to come out en masse, everybody, to a particular location and march to get guns out of our community.
Right.
Give some jobs for these young people. But we can get more people to come out and talk about legalizing marijuana than we can get to talk about how we're going to get some jobs for our young men and how we're going to put some money in their pocket and how some of these young families can be come off of the margin of our society and get involved in the society as participants economically, socially, and educationally. Now, how do we do these things, though? How do we do these things? Number one, let's walk ourselves through something. Okay, let's say that in our community today, let's say that we have politicians coming to us and saying various things. Okay, about jobs. They haven't gotten a job plan. Okay, they haven't said to you, we are going to get monies that's going to increase the length of time you can stay on unemployment. They would say this to you, though. The unemployment is only, you can't get an extension over a year or over 6 months because the Senate of the United States of America government is not going to agree to it. Okay, what did we do for ourselves before there was a Senate of the United States of America? What did we do with ourselves before we were brought as captives and enslaved? What we did was we looked out for ourselves. We looked out for our children. We looked out for our elders. We had a plan from the womb to the tomb. Everybody was valued. Everybody knew their place. The elders knew their place. They knew they were valued. They knew that their wisdom was highly, highly, highly respected. We knew that those who had crafts, those who dealt with the animals, those who fished, those who did, all of these things had a place of honor in our society. You can't expect our young men to feel good about themselves when they do no productive work. And when they do go to get the courage to go and apply for a job, they are actually literally turned back because there are so many things that they cannot live up to. They're saying, do you have any experience? Did you give them some experience? A summer job is not job experience. It's a summer job. What I'm saying is very simple. let's go back to the basics. Our community is rich, literally, but we do not garner hardly any of the riches from our own community. For instance, there are many people who come into our communities throughout the Caribbean. They build apartment buildings, they build condominiums, they build new boat docks, they build super slots for super yachts. They do all of this. What do we get out of it? Maybe we'll get to clean the yacht, or maybe we'll get to go down and and moor it for them. But there are no plans for us in our own community to increase our own access to our own facilities. Like they're continually passing laws. One of the things is that they will pass a law about the number of fish you can catch. And then they'll pass a law saying that you can only catch the amount of fish at a particular time of year. Then they'll pass another law. And what I'm saying is we have a right to fish our own waters, but we don't have a right to fish them where the fish we depend on for our livelihood become extinct.
Right.
We're smart enough to understand what a fisheries policy is. We don't need people who are coming to our own community and slowly but surely taking control of every bit of land that is on the coast, every bit of area that is scenic. There is in their control. I don't mean to continue in this line, but I need to lay the groundwork for what I'm going to say about the development of an attitude on our people towards their own self-worth, towards their own self-empowerment, towards the enrichment of our own communities. That empowerment and that self-worth and that enrichment has to come from the inside out. Okay, for instance, if a politician says that he represents you, what is he representing? Have you told him what you want them to say? Have you told her exactly what you need in their community? Have they sit down with you? Have you gone to the meetings and said exactly, tell us exactly and specifically how you are going to fix the roads in St. Croix, St. Thomas, St. John, Water Island, or in Tortola, Antigua, wherever? Or have you asked them, how are you going to increase the salaries of the teachers so that the teachers who really are not going to work for a pittance, they're not going to work for half the salary that people in other places get when they can go to those places because they can go.
Yes.
They can go to the other places and get a job at twice the salary. We need to become competitive. But where does the money come from, you say? I'll tell you where it comes from. What senator in the U.S. Virgin Islands, what senator in the U.S. Virgin Islands does $85,000 worth of work? Or what senator in the U.S. Virgin Islands does $85,000 worth of personal work and has $300,000 or more to spend to maintain their office and their office staff, and has another $300,000 to do other things? Okay, you don't know because they don't know. We're not supposed to spend every penny that we have, but we are not supposed to have people representing us that live better than us, who are an entire class of people that disdain us.
Yes.
And we sustain them with our sustenance. We go to work. We pay the taxes. We do everything that's required of us, and they disdain us. Let me give you an example of this. I'm gonna drop this on you because you need to wake up. In 1974, Bob Marley was asked to come and be at a concert for the newly independent country of Zimbabwe. Okay, you don't know where Zimbabwe is. Okay, Zimbabwe used to be called South Rhodesia, right? And so it was named after an Englishman named Cecil Rhodes. But that's not important. But let me tell you what they did, though. every event, anybody could come. There was no tickets that you had to buy. There was nothing that you had to wear. Anybody could come. I'm saying that for you to understand this. We pay the taxes that maintain Government House. We pay the taxes that maintain every government building here. If they say, well, some of the money that comes to the Virgin Islands come from the federal government. Okay, let's not play games with ourselves, you know. The federal government of the United States of America owes more than $500 trillion in reparations to the African Americans and by extension to the citizens of the Virgin Islands. They're not sending any money to the Virgin Islands that doesn't already belong to us. The gold that was used to purchase the $20 million in gold that was used to purchase the Virgin Islands in 1917 from the so-called country of Denmark, it didn't come from the United States of America, and it certainly didn't come from Denmark. Denmark didn't cut off a slice of that country and bring it here and settle it in the Virgin Islands and call it the Virgin Islands. The Virgin Islands was already here. It was here before there was a Denmark. It was here before there was a United States of America. These are our lands, and the wealth of these lands belong to us. Okay, so now you got it. So I'm going to go back to the point. Why doesn't the senators say we can do more with less, and we can make sure that the money that is saved by us reducing our overhead goes in to a special fund for the educational department to hire teachers and pay them a decent salary, or to get more nurses, or to improve the police force? All of us are involved in it, but you don't ask those kind of questions. You don't ask of the people how much of the money that you get. Okay, let me give you an example of what I did one day. I walked up to a policeman and I said, "Excuse me, officer, may I speak with you for a moment?" And the officer said, "Yes." And I said, "I need a ride. Would you please take me to this particular location?" And the person looked at me and says, "You need a ride?" I said, "Yes, I do need a ride, and I'm asking you to give me a ride in this vehicle right here that you just got out of." He said, "Well, that's a police car." I says, "I know. I own the car. Why would I ask you to give me a ride in your car? This is my car that you're riding with." Right. And to make a short story really short, it was perplexing to the police officer. What I had asked him is legitimate, but he had no experiences in his life that could say to him that was a legitimate question, and he would have gotten into my car and driven me where I wanted to go.
Right.
What I want I'm using that to illustrate one important point. The resources of the Virgin Islands government, the land of the Virgin Islands, and everything that's on it, everything that comes from it, belongs to the citizens of the Virgin Islands.
Yes.
Calling yourself Tomian or Crucian or Water Islander or any of those things don't matter. It's still your land. And the land, like as Dr. Carter had read in the poem, the land should be shared. It's the mutual heritage, the unfettered heritage, even for people who come here as visitors. They don't come here as visitors. They will come here to tell you that they have a deed for the land. They have a deed that was purchased from Denmark
Right.
in 1917, and that while we say that we are on the land and own the land and that the land belongs to us, they will ask us, "Where's your deed?" They will question our legitimacy to pass laws and will say that we don't have a right to govern our own self when the UN Declaration of Human Rights says that is a human right. So what I'm saying in very realistic terms, we don't have to depend on an outside source to come in and tell us how to raise our children, how to educate them, how to teach them and grow them to be responsible citizens. We were doing that before there was a Europe. I don't understand that the type of amnesia that comes over the people as soon as we elect them to political office. Let me show you another type of reverse amnesia. Amnesia is when you lose your memory.
Yes.
Okay, if you arrest somebody and put them in a cell all of a sudden they remember all the ways that they could be okay and not have to come to jail. They can remember everything. I want to do right. I'm going to treat everybody right. I apologize. All of that comes to them. So, but when you elect someone to political office, they forget how to be responsible to the people who elected them. They forget to come down, except on certain occasions,
Yes.
and into our communities and say, I want everybody to come and to a meeting, and I want you to come, and guess what? I want you to come, and I want you to talk, and I'm going to listen. I'm actually going to sit there while you tell me whatever it is you have to say, and I'm going to bring my staff so they can write things down. But I'm going one step further. I'm going to stay there as long as there is an individual from your community who has something to say.
Yes.
Because I owe that to you. I owe that to you. I'm not saying anything against people who are politicians because I don't know what that means. If it means that they do nothing for the community, if it means that they can explain away any legitimate concern, if it means that they can delegitimize or to legitimize anything, anytime, anywhere they get ready, I don't understand that. I do understand this, that there are universal laws that says if you live on this land, work on this land, defend this land, and improve the land, it is yours. I don't understand how we capitulate or give up our right to walk with our heads up high. I want to dovetail into another part of how being responsible citizens not only include having a list of your concerns every time you go to to a meeting. How is it that I can go to a meeting, and if 20 people speak, that 20 people speak, that the 20 people say exactly or almost exactly the same thing about the same issues? We need better schools. We need more money for our teachers. We need better health. We need more money in the hospitals. We need better trained policemen. We need a better health department. Or we need. How is it that you're going to hear this? Listen to me. Listen. A lot of people say that leaders should be humble, but I don't see no humility in a bald-faced lie. Now, I don't see why we have to sit there and for someone to say, well, Dr. Carter was elected to office and he's been there for 15 years and he didn't do anything, but I'm going to do something in my first two weeks in office that he couldn't do. That is not a recognition that there is a system governing what politicians can do, and we do not control that system. Right. We give them that. Now, what do we control, though? Let's go and see. The first thing that we control is we control our own thoughts, we control our own words, and we control our own feelings and behavior. That we got. So how do we use it? First of all, we need to stop thinking about you got a family on Facebook, or you got a family on Twitter, or you got a family, on this or that, when you don't even speak to your own personal family, your own brothers and sisters who block you on their Facebook page. Now, how is it that I can get along with somebody that's in Guyana or Algeria, and I can't get along with my brother who is sitting there beside me? I'm saying, let's bring our families together. Okay. I'm the how you do that man. So anytime you want to know how you do it, just ask me. The first thing is everybody scattered all over the place, then we solve that problem by getting in touch with everybody and say there's a family reunion. Okay, if everybody is near and you don't need a year to get prepared or 2 years to get prepared, then what we have is monthly family gatherings. If they're even closer, then we can even have family dinners at least once every week or 2 weeks. Okay, family dinners, monthly gatherings, or family reunions. Okay, now, this is something else we can do. We can have picnics, we can have barbecues. We don't need an excuse to get together as a family. What about the people that say that you're too posse, that you don't know what you're doing, that who told you you could call a family a meeting or a dinner? Okay, fess up. Nobody, except me. Just tell them that you heard a great suggestion from a person who obviously knows, because they spoke with great eloquence, and they actually love black people so much that they were concerned that we had left our first love, and that's the family. Okay, secondly, I'm going to give kudos and shout out to the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I see the Seventh-day Adventist Church in the streets. They were at Sunny Isle a couple of months ago. They were in the streets in St. Thomas area, which takes a lot of cojones to get out there in the streets. And you know, because they were saying something very fundamental for the salvation of the families. We need to get together, stop the violence. We need to respect one another. And I'm a kudos to them. Kudos to the Rastafarian brothers who are every month or every so getting together at the agriculture fair in different places, building unity. These are the kind of things that, please, when you see an event that is not sponsored, that's not sponsored by the government, go to those events, because that's where you're going to build the kind of network and the kind of familiarity with people where you become a pressure group. Okay? That since the family has been marginalized, what does that mean? When you don't give the teachers a raise for 5 years, when you don't give government employees a raise for 5 years, but the cost of living is going up at a rate of about 3.5% or greater each year. That means in 4 years that they are 15% behind, or their buying power has been reduced by 15%. Now, does that sound like something that we can continue to allow to happen?
No.
Okay, but have you heard, and this is a legitimate question, anyone to talk about a price freeze on all on the top 20 items that people use daily in their homes, like flour, rice, fresh vegetables? Because a mango cannot cost $2.50. Okay, and I have to pay $5 for a block of tofu. Okay, now my children eat both mango and tofu, but I have to choose. Now that's not good.
Yes.
Okay, now my point is this: we can influence the price of food in our neighborhoods. We can influence the price of gas. We can influence the price of everything. One example for this: when a community organizes, okay, let's see, if there was a real oil crisis, the government would have to take the responsibility of saying, you can only buy so much gasoline per week, per family. Mm-hmm. If it got really bad, they could say you could only drive your cars. Odd cars can be driven on odd days of the month with your license plate stopping an odd number.
Right.
And even on the even days of the month, you know, like if you count Sunday as the first day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, or if you would say and zero, since people gonna be smart, right? If your license plate in zero, we'll consider that an odd or an even number, whichever. But there are ways. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, let's talk about the heart and its function, not only in our body, but its function in our family. There are many, many young women who are single mothers of families who are outside of their own family. They're outside. It used to be called alienation or ostracized. Some people don't like big words. Well, what does alienation mean? What ostracized? Call Dr. Carter up and we'll send you a dictionary. And I'm gonna tell you why. These are the words some other people be using, you know. Okay, they be using these words, and when these young women, let me make this point, because I think that this is a heads up for the brothers and a heads up for the families. When you set your daughter out because she's doing things that you disapprove of, you make her a double victim. She's got to have somebody to help her with these children, and since she doesn't have any protection, she has to take a lot of abuse. And when we talk about the type of abuse that our young women are exposed to, it is mainly because there is no protective male in her life. No father, no big brother, no husband, no loyal lover or friend, nobody who she can go to and say, please help me. This is not right. This weakens our community. And morally, it sends a message both to our young children and to those outside looking at it, that we really don't care about our young women. We really don't care about the offsprings that we bring into the world with these young women. This has got to be addressed, and the place is in its home. No child should ever be sent out and never can come home.
Right.
I don't care how bad your child is, and I know it gets real bad. I do know that. And I'm not attempting to justify that there aren't cases that really the only alternative is for the person not to be around. But there are ways that we can still help these people, and that's where the politicians come in. On one of my previous visits here, I talked about a thing called adult daycare. You know, I call and I wanted it to be understood that we can have entire apartment buildings devoted to people who need a safe place because they can't live alone. They can't live in public housing communities because they're prey. They don't know how to say no. They don't know how to lock their door. They have people in their house that they can't get out. But if we had a daycare where people live there among other people, like for instance, you bring a stable family in on the floor, and then there are 3 other families on the same floor who need this family as both a mentoring family and an example for them. Okay, this can be done. They're doing it in different places in the United States of America. But what does it take? It takes money, commitment. It takes imagination,
Right.
and it takes courage. Okay, that's one of the solution. The other one is this. If we speak with the heart, we stop making other people wrong. I'm not saying that it's right to hit a woman or to push a woman down and to beat her or to kick her. No one would say that. Well, I don't think anyone sane would say that. Even the person that's doing it has a sane moment.
Yes.
And under the proper circumstances, they could be convinced that might not be the best way, but that's another discussion.
Yes.
How you do that. But here's the thing that I'm saying. If you feel somebody that's really in pain, they're really hurting, and you keep pushing against them, banging them, disrespecting them. Like, for instance, our young men are in pain. They're being disrespected in the most fundamental way. Most people don't realize or don't understand what it feels like to get up every day that you do get up and there's no place for you. Where do I belong? So that moment that they take a car or that moment that they go into a store and take something that belongs to somebody, or break in a house, or that moment that they do set themselves on fire, is the only moment that they really feel alive, is the only moment that they really feel involved in something, other than that nanosecond when they're having an orgasm, you know? Let's be clear on this. Now, we're talking about my son, my grandchildren.
Yes.
And I don't want it to be something that you can explain away. Now, let's say, Dr. Carter, let's say that we had a march, and we said, for all the young men who've been creating violent acts, we want you to come out, and we want you to march with us, and we're going to have a peace and reconciliation conference, and we're going to talk about this, and we're going to make this thing go away, but we need your help. And they said yes. And we had the peace and reconciliation in the march, and we talked good. Bam, it's over with. What next? Where's the job that's going to make him feel meaningful? When he goes to the thing, you cannot vote because you have a felony. No, I can't vote because you gave me a felony so that I can't vote. Now let's get that right.
Yes.
Okay, you criminalize. Come on with it now.
Yes.
You criminalize a behavior until you can make money off of it. Okay? You criminalize me having marijuana until you figure out a way to make money off it. Philip Morris. All of it. You figure a way how to make money. Now it's okay. But it wasn't okay until you figured out how to make money out of it. Okay, let's get back to the young man and the young women. A young man does not value himself. A young man who does not value himself does not make a good companion. You can't couple with a person that is not emotionally available to you. If a person is not emotionally available to you, it's maybe because he or she, as a child, their parents weren't emotionally available to them. Okay, now we have to go and help our families start hugging one another and start touching one another and start accepting one another as who they are in that family. Because children who come from these families and don't know how to touch, don't know how to share emotions, don't know how to accept people, don't know how to live without being critical, they are not going to make good, loving parents themselves.
Yes. And
their children are going to repeat the cycle. The only place that we can stop it is right now in our homes. And if the parents have to understand that there are ways to be helped, aided, supported, and taught how to become a loving parent. And you don't have to have a really, really, really bad experience for you to learn how to say, I'm sorry, forgive me, thank you, I love you. You don't have to have a bad experience. Right. It may take you a little time to get the courage to say it, but if you practice a lot and actually feel it in your heart, it'll start to work. Because let me say it, I know far too many people who know far too many people that the mother really wants to be a mother to her daughter. The daughter really wants to be a daughter to her mother. The son really wants to have a conversation with his father. Father really wants to have a conversation with his son. What's keeping this from happening is that they have so many problems that if they are going to have a conversation with one another, it has to be at 3:30 in the morning when everybody is asleep, because nobody is feeling good about themselves. That when they come into a room, they can say, oh, excuse me, I see you having a conversation like we used to do.
Right.
It's mommy, in your face when I'm talking. I know, but listen, the family is all we got. Everything stems from a family. The proverb that goes, if you want to know to judge the level of development of a nation, look at its family. If you want to know the level of development for its family, look at its women. We cannot push our women down, marginalize our women, to berate our women, no matter what they do. I'm saying this is real, though.
Yes, sir.
Because, let me personalize this. Know more about women than I do? Okay, super. Okay, but I just want to get my pedigree in here real quick.
Yes, sir.
Okay, my pedigree is straight up. I had a father, check. I had a mother,
Yes,
check. My mother and my father knew one another, check.
Yes.
My mother and my father were married, check. My mother and my father was in the house together, check, as long as I was growing up, check. So, you know what? I think I know a little bit about how to treat a woman, and I think I know a little bit about how to treat a man. Okay, now, I'm recommending this. If you didn't grow up with your father, we got some fathers, we call them mentors now. But hey, I got so many spiritual daughters.
Yes.
And they come in and they cry and they scream and they holler. But the whole point about it is I know what they're feeling.
Right.
Because I grew up in the house with my sisters who grew up in the house with my father, who grew up in the house with my brothers, who grew up in the house with my mother. And I know all of those different feelings and emotions that you go to the mother who goes to the father and all of that, right? But we don't have the courage to give up the thing that we think that we need most. And what is that? Approval from people who don't give a damn about us. Okay, let me give you an example. I would not dare ask a Caucasian for anything because I don't want anything from them. I don't even want them to get out of my face. I want nothing from them because there's nothing that they can do for me.
Yes, sir.
Now, they're humans, and they get my human gratitude, my human respect and everything, but I'm going to tell you something. Hear me well, because I know our people like to close up their ears when I talk about their favorite, villains, right? Hear me well. Track the history of the Caucasian. I want you to do it well. I don't want you to get in a hurry. You got all the time you need. Every time you find something that they contributed to the advancement of humankind that's positive, check it. Tell me when you get a handful. I think that you're going to have a problem because if what I know is true, and I didn't write the books, they did, but I read them. I kept count, and the count says that everywhere they went, the score was Caucasians, 1 million. The Aborigines, 0. Culturally, no culture, right? But when they left your village, they had a culture. No culture, no wisdom, no knowledge, no understanding, no philosophy. But when they left your village, they were the creators of philosophy. They were the founders of medicine. Let me track this back for you because this is what I'm talking about. I can sit here and give you word by word, page by page, book by book, but I can't make you believe that you are the origins of all humankind and you are the masters of the earth. Now, if you thought that, you would say the things that I'm saying. I'm going to teach you how to say it. Just say, I am here, now, and I am great.
I am great.
Okay, that's all you have to do. I am here, now, and I am great. Now, you see the little sign that the little sister held up? Do not let my greatness frighten you. Don't shoot. That was her little sign, right? What was she saying? The fear of your greatness can trigger in them a reaction that sees you as a deadly enemy.
Yes.
Straight
sees
up.
you as a threat, yeah.
A threat. What I'm saying is, let's go back and connect the dots. Politicians buy in to the fact that they have no power except the power that's given to them by the people who have the purse strings. Got it. But when it comes to you and your purse strings, they can negate that power. They can refuse to be controlled by the power. Let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example that will, if you're not from the Virgin Islands and everything, here's an example. Dr. David Hall, right? You know, you can tell him I'm talking behind his back, too. Dr. David Hall. Dr. David Hall is probably one of the most brilliant men that I know.
Yes.
I have not seen a man, and I am a man. I don't have to do my genealogy again. I am a man, and I've been in his presence. This brother has spiritual, mental, psychological, emotional, educational, economic presence. This brother is on the planet, right? And he holds that space, right?
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you something. But as brilliant as Dr. David Hall is, he still has to depend on the people who advise him. Let's give better advice. Right? Now, I'm not asked for the advice, right?
Yes.
But because you know that I respect my people so much that I'm going to give the best advice that I know. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, the politicians, if they weren't afraid of being poor, you imagine that? We don't come from a heritage where our fathers and mothers were kings and queens on this side. We built the treasure cities of this world.
Right.
Every one of them. Every one of them we built. I don't care, you name it, and I will tell you the architect of that place. I will tell you who started it and why he or she or that family made that happen. But I'm going to tell you something. As people who built the treasure cities, we always act like we need to come through the back door. Okay, where was the United States of America when the Africans in the Caribbean, needed food? The United States of America was the chief supplier of pork to the plantations that enslaved the Africans in the Caribbean. Pork. The one thing that the majority of the Africans who were enslaved did not eat, hated it. But they made it necessary for them to eat it if they wanted to live. The United States of America, nor did any other industrial country or a so-called civilized European country ever intercede on the part of the kidnapped Africans in any place in the world. Some of the citizens in these countries did, particularly in the nation of France and England, and in the 13 colonies that became the United States of America, individuals and sometimes individual groups like the Quakers, okay, they did. When the Moravians came to the Virgin Islands, the Moravians didn't come in here as conquerors or Bible-thumping missionaries that was going to teach us how to be good Christians so that, slaves obey your master kind of Christianity. We need to know the difference between the people, okay? But we don't need to be giving up our human right to live with dignity and to live with self-respect on our own land. And the last thing that I want to say on this is something. Politicians are elected to serve the interests of the communities that they come from, not their own interests and not the interests of people who live in Washington, D.C. and in Maryland and that surrounding community.
Yes.
This is a fact of reality. You can't go to Washington, D.C. or anywhere in Maryland or Virginia and start making laws for the people in Maryland and Virginia. You can't do that. Not only because you don't have an army of power and you're not an empire, but because they would not allow it. The citizens would not allow it.
Yes.
Okay? And so, like, let's say politicians serve the interests of the people. You have to speak up. They have to know what your interests are. What are the interests of the people of the Virgin Islands? Okay, number two. The systems which serve our community must be strengthened. The educational system, the hospitals, the police force, the health industry, they have to be strengthened. We have a right to health. We have a right to decent food. Okay, number three, the basis of a community moving forward or backward because you can't stay still is the strength of its family. Our families are being fragmented. Our families are not whole. There's a deliberate fragmentation going on. The brain drain in the Virgin Islands has reached supercritical. If we don't, we might look up next in a few weeks, and we won't have anybody that can come in and keep our internet services are going. We won't have anybody here because they will all have been enticed away with money. But they will come back if they come back and they know there's dignity. They will come home if they know that their family will accept them.
Yes.
The people are leaving the Virgin Islands because even when they have children by men and who men with good jobs, even now, will not give them money for the children they have together because they don't like their children's mother. That is not an excuse not to help her. We need to strengthen our family. We need to strengthen brothers. We need to have the confidence. Okay, lastly, we need to realize that it's from the inside out. We're not going to get out of this by whining and screaming and pitching a fit. We can only get out of this by coming together, taking the time, respecting one another. And here's a point that I can't overly emphasize. We have to get involved right now with our young families. Our young families there's so much confusion, hurt, pain. They're not even angry any longer. They just don't know what's going on. They're doing their best. But every time they do something, the goalpost shifts. We got to help them. And in saying that, we have to find a way that there's a place in this society, our society, for the young men. They got to see if they work at a job that they can be a manager or own that position. They got to see that we respect them and don't always have something bad to say about him. They'll pull their pants up when they get a reason to pull their pants up. They'll pull their pants. Okay, for instance, the young boy visits your house. He brings in your furniture from Carlos Furniture in your house. Man, where you want this furniture? Over there. He spends 30 minutes in there putting your bed up, putting your sofa up and everything. He walk out the door. Does he get a tip?
No.
No. How you think he feel when he go on the East End? They comparing, okay, I bring somebody here to drop this piece down. There's only one piece. Drop it down. I get a tip. Okay, look. I go out of my way to make sure that these young men know I respect them. They wash my car, and I let them set the price, and then I give them what I think will make an impression on them that I appreciate you.
Right.
Not everybody can wash a car. I know I can, but anyway, I want them to know that we appreciate them. I want them to know that we can create a space for them where they can be whole. I want them to know that we're not mad at them. You know what? If we go to Italy, I mean, these people was killing one another, brother. We go to New York in the 1920s, them people was killing one another, brother.
Yes.
Chicago. I mean, it wasn't pretty. I mean, blood all on the walls and bumming up people in hotels. I mean, Saturday night massacres, all of that. It's not pretty. But it certainly is not what other people went through. Mass murders. We love our children, and we need to send that message by being there for our children. But we need to tell them that they got to want to make things better and take some responsibility for their thoughts, take some responsibility for what they're saying, and take some responsibility for their behaviors. Now, we can't do that for them, but we can create an atmosphere, an environment, and we can do that.
Yes.
This program is evidence of that. We can create an environment where the conversation can start. And we can create something outside of this if we can get some sponsors to come in here and say, we need this program to be streamed on every household, because what's being said here is not being said in other places.
Yes.
Even politicians, when they come here, feel free to say some things that they ain't going to say in the Senate.
Definitely not. Definitely
Okay.
right.
So what we want to do, you create a safe space for them. Let's have them come in and join us and create a safe space for those people who we consider today as marginalized,
Yes.
our young families, and particularly our young men,
Okay.
as part of those young families. Okay.
All right, we've been listening to Dr. Akinshegun, giving us some insight on a few things here. This is the It's Your Perspective talk show. It is Wednesday, August 20th. It's about 9:12 p.m. Any final thoughts, Soup?
No, the Doc said it all. Doc, you just kind of just wrap it up in one. Just give a last pitch and.
Yeah, just a real quick pitch. Just kind of squeeze it all together and.
Right. Well, the thing about it is that if something doesn't exist in our community that we want, it's because we haven't sufficiently desired it. We've got to create the desire to be a self-sufficient people, a people that's self-affirming. We've got to create a desire to have a strong family and a desire to have loving relationship. We got to create a desire to know ourselves and to know where our place is in this great sun and this great earth. And I think that we can do it. The only thing about it is that we got to pay the price. And the price is for those who are searching to keep searching. And when you find it, get in with it. And for the people who are searching and don't know particularly what it is, have an idea of what it is. So even if you get close. But for those who are searching and are confused, you need someone to help you. Get you a mentor. Call this program. We have a list of mentors. We can do it. But we've got to understand that many teach many. Those who know keep talking and don't look for a single leader. Let's all look to lead our families and the communities and do our part. And I think that we can get this thing under control and move on. Thank you.
Dr. Akinshegun, thank you very much again for blessing us for coming into the high-tech, low-tech studio.
My pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to have you. Your great wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Continue to be well, stand firm, and do what you do. Hope to see you in the near future again, real soon.
For sure. Thank you very much again for coming out and blessing us with your wisdom, and we'll see you again.